Hi everyone! For my final project in SSA 203, I opted for a review of a social studies unit or exemplar. This lesson is entitled Who is Your Hero? This is one of the learning plans in the Teach 21 project-based learning. Good day, this is Elsa Duyan-Villanueva. This lesson is intended for the 5th graders in social studies. This was created by Lynn Swally and was taken from the TLI 2009 PBL plans in West Virginia. TLI means Teacher Leadership Institute. The mission of this TLI is to model 21st century educational practices and promote them in Hampshire Country. Since this is a problem-based learning or PBL, it centers on a curriculum that simultaneously develops both problem-solving strategies and interdisciplinary knowledge bases and skills. Here, the instructors place students in roles of active investigation. Students confront ill-structured problems that mirror real-world situations and generate probable solutions. As for the entry event, the students would be taken to a field trip or a museum visit to a local civil rights historical site. And if this is not possible, an optional activity would be to invite a community member into the classroom to share their experiences of living during the civil rights movement. After which, the student will be asked to create a multimedia presentation as their project. To provide venue for reflection, the creator inserted a mini lesson. So after visiting the museum, the students will take part in an activity where they will experience certain conditions in the past. So here, a group of students were intentionally not given materials for an activity, though it's available. As part of the processing of the students, they were asked how they felt about that. So actually, the activity serves as a springboard for a discussion on the unfairness between the blacks and whites during in the past of the American history. So students could have more information about historical figures. They will be given an activity wherein they would research about these people or these persons in history. So while they were doing that, they will be using a civil rights historical figure graphic organizer to be guided on what information to take or to read from the text and primary sources. Aside from this research on historical figure, the writer also suggested a movie viewing. And for this lesson, the suggestion was to view Our Friend Martin. So after viewing this particular movie, the students will explain how their life is different due to the efforts of Martin Luther King. As part of the driving question, this question would be posed to them. What impacts have civil rights figures had on your life? Another good activity provided in this exemplar is the final project. Actually, there are two final projects. One is an individual project where students will be asked to write a thank you letter. So this thank you letter would be guided with a thank you letter note-taking form. So out of those things that they wrote in this note-taking form, they would form that to write a thank you letter. And the group project is a multimedia presentation. If you noticed earlier, while they were viewing the museum, the students were already told that they will be making a multimedia presentation as their final project. The students' final projects will be posted or uploaded here at the website of myhero.com. The mission of My Hero is to use media and technology to celebrate the best of humanity and to empower people of all ages to realize their own potential to effect positive change in the world. So this particular website is really accessible. It's not a for-profit profit project, and it is supported by visitors of all ages. So here, the students may share their stories, their artwork, or any form of projects that they have. So, as for my feedback on this particular exemplar, one thing that caught my fancy is that it provides differentiated activities. And I think it's very attractive to students because they would be exposed to real conditions, and then they would really conduct investigation. Let's say, for example, like going to the museum, conducting a visit to any historical site, and then it also provided them a venue for reflection. They would do a research. So it's a perfect combination of all their talents exposed in such activities. Another thing is that I like that it provides graphic organizer, because graphic organizers are very essential tool, not only to give the students feedback, but also it's a guide for teachers to find out if the students are really doing well in their activity. Are they developing, or there's something that bothers them? Also, a very good point of this exemplar is that it highlights how the teacher or the creator have scaffolded activities to prepare the students for their project. And I also like the idea that it has cooperative group role activities. And then, so here, the students were given roles to perform, and then after which they would also be guided with a group observation checklist as a sort of an assessment, and then that would give them feedback on how their group is doing. Also, this daily group learning log is very important since every meeting that they have, and after doing certain activities, the group would write here their reflection. And this is a very good thing, and which I believe every teacher should write on their learning plans. I believe the plan is almost perfect actually, but there's a sort of a suggestion if I would ask, uh, pattern this, or apply this rather in my class here in the Philippines. If I don't really have, or teachers don't really have such opportunity to visit museums or historical sites. So I opted for a parade of characters. So after they do a research, the students may have a parade of characters. They like to do a get up, and then while looking at this parade of characters, students may have a worksheet to write on what are the observations about this certain historical figure. The second one that I'd like to suggest is that to further deepen the understanding about the contribution of his historical figures, I would also conduct a comparison, an activity where they would compare how this particular person is different from such figure in history. What did that what have that person done in history? What context brought him to that particular activity? And also for number three, I would add process questions. Though in certain activities there was a guide on what to ask students, I believe this should be explicitly written in the plan, so the teacher who may want to adopt this in their class would really be guided on what to ask and what to investigate, and then how to engage students in the process. So once again, this is Elsa Duyan-Villanueva signing off.